The transport shuttle groaned its final descent, rattling Junior Auditor Kalen's teeth. Velthis crown, she mused, hardly living up to its regal name. Below, a landscape of sculpted rock and gargantuan excavation sites stretched to the horizon, a monument to ceaseless toil. The air, thick with mineral dust and the tang of processed ore, felt heavy, as if the planet itself exhaled exhaustion. Kalen clutched her datapad, its cold metal a familiar comfort against the alien warmth of the Velthis system. Her initial data ingress had been unsettling. "Welcome, Auditor," a voice crackled through the comm bead. "Foreman Theron awaits your arrival at Processing Hub Gamma 7. Her mandate was clear: verify Crown tithe compliance. But Velthis Crown's tithes weren't merely compliant. They were unprecedented. Output projections had been shattered, not by a margin, but by an order of magnitude, for the last 3 cycles. Such efficiency was almost unheard of in the outer systems, often a red flag for illicit activity or, worse, an unsustainable surge about to collapse. Yet, every data byte screamed legitimate, robust production. It was the human element that truly piqued her concern. She met Theron at the designated hub, a cavernous space where conveyors rumbled incessantly, carrying gleaming rivers of raw velthite, ore. Theron was an old hand, his face etched with the lines of decades spent inhaling mineral dust, his uniform patched and worn. He offered a perfunctory nod. "Auditor Kalen," he began, his voice raspy, "we've been expecting you. All ledgers are prepared, as per administrative decree." "Thank you, Foreman Theron," Kalen replied, her gaze sweeping over the bustling work floor. Thousands of men and women, their faces smudged with grime, moved with an almost robotic precision. What caught her attention wasn't their diligence, that was expected, but their demeanor. There was no grumbling, no visible fatigue, no whispered complaints. Instead, a peculiar, placid contentment seemed to settle upon them, like a thin layer of fine dust. Their movements, while efficient, lacked the usual tension of hard labor. "Your output is remarkable, Foreman," Kalen observed, turning back to him, "especially given the age of some of these deep mines. To sustain such production, cycle after cycle." Theron merely shrugged, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes of resignation. "The work gets done, Auditor. Always does. The men and women here understand their duty." Kalen pressed on, her voice softening slightly. "They certainly do. But I've noted something else in my preliminary scans of their morale reports. A consistent elevation in their general contentment. Almost a blissful compliance, some might say. Is this typical for Velthis Crown?" Theron's eyes, deep-set and weary, met hers. He hesitated, a fleeting shadow crossing his face. "It's been like this for a while now, Auditor. Since the new methods were implemented. The workers, they find satisfaction in their contribution. A sense of purpose, you might call it." "New methods," Kalen prompted, her datapad already logging the phrase. "What new methods, specifically?" "Optimization protocols, mostly," Theron said, waving a dismissive hand. "Resource allocation, shift staggering, that sort of thing. Nothing out of the ordinary for a mining world trying to meet its quotas." He avoided her gaze, focusing instead on a malfunctioning sensor array across the hub. Kalen knew better. Optimization protocols didn't typically induce blissful compliance in deep mine laborers. They usually led to more work, less pay, and greater resentment. This wasn't just efficient, it felt managed. Too perfect. The very air around the workers seemed to hum with a subtle, yet pervasive, tranquility that bordered on unnatural. This wasn't the grim determination of imperial citizens upholding their duties. It was something far more profound and far more concerning. Her initial assessment confirmed her suspicions. Velthis Crown was an anomaly, and anomalies, especially those so meticulously maintained, demanded closer scrutiny. The ledger books would tell one story, but the silent, placid faces of the workers were telling another entirely. Her investigation had only just begun. Kaelin decided to start her scrutiny where the anomaly was most pronounced, among the laborers themselves. She spent the next several hours observing, her datapad charting patterns of movement, micro-expressions, even vocal intonations as workers communicated. What she saw only deepened her unease. There was no casual banter, no shared exhaustion, no furtive glances at the clock. Each interaction was brief, functional, and devoid of emotional resonance. When she approached a group during a shift change, attempting a casual conversation, she was met with polite, almost vacant stares. "Hard work, isn't it?" She ventured to a woman wiping grime from her forehead, a faint smile playing on the worker's lips. "It is our duty, auditor," the woman replied, her voice soft, almost melodic, and a privilege to contribute to the Emperor's grand design. There was no hint of irony, no trace of coerced obedience, only a profound, unwavering belief in her own words. It was like speaking to a particularly well-programmed automatron, yet these were living, breathing humans. Later, she confronted Theron again, her voice firm. "Foreman, I've reviewed your shift logs and the official welfare reports. They paint a picture of contented diligence. Yet, what I'm observing, it borders on an ideological fervor. People don't just become this compliant, especially not in these conditions, without significant external influence." Theron sighed, his gaze drifting over the same bustling floor. "Auditor, these people are committed. They've found their place. Perhaps the administratum's perspective from the core worlds doesn't fully grasp the simple, honest dedication of an outer system mining commune." His words were dismissive, yet Kaelin noticed a faint tremor in his hand as he gestured. "Perhaps," Kaelin conceded, her eyes narrowing, "or perhaps the administratum understands manipulation when it sees it. This sense of purpose you speak of, Foreman, where does it truly originate? Is it preached? Implanted? And if so, how?" She tapped her datapad, bringing up a complex algorithm of psychological profiling. "My preliminary analysis suggests a pervasive, low-frequency psionic dampening field, or something similar, influencing cognitive functions, or at the very least, an unprecedented level of constant, subtle conditioning." Theron's eyes widened almost imperceptibly, a flash of fear replacing his usual resignation. He quickly composed himself, a forced chuckle escaping his lips. "Psionics? Auditor, you're delving into fanciful notions. This is a mining world, not a cult outpost. We have no psychers, no forbidden technologies, just hard work and loyalty." He turned away abruptly, feigning interest in a minor malfunction on a nearby processing unit. Kaelin knew he was lying, or, at least, withholding information vital to her inquiry. The sudden shift in Theron's demeanor, his quick dismissal, only confirmed her suspicions. This wasn't merely about tithe compliance anymore. This was about something far more insidious, something that twisted the very will of humanity into a tool for unimaginable output. Her next step would not be to audit ledgers, but to find the source of this unsettling tranquility, no matter how deeply buried it was beneath the surface of Velthis' crown.